The Raiders were down by 4 with less than 10 seconds left in the game. I'll never forget that, watching with like 5 or 6 people and all of us freaking out when we thought the game was all but over. Ended up winning all my friends $1.
What's the craziest thing you've spent your winnings from a sports bet on?
I paid off my student loans.
Oh, that's awesome. What's the biggest challenge you had?
That's a great question. If we win this year, I will delete all my social media accounts that I have across everywhere.
What's up? We are here on the DubClub CEO Corner. I'm with Alex Caruso, episode 8, I believe. What's going on, Alex?
What's up, Ryan? I appreciate you having me. This is a long time coming, so super glad we can finally make this happen. And, summer months, no basketball or football on, perfect time to do it.
Amen. We got you in a good time. You're not too busy. Once we get into, September timeframe, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Let me give some context and background on Alex before we jump in. Based in Boston, big Boston fan. Congrats to the Celtics once again.
Go.
Huge win. Recent graduate from Suffolk. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly this time. Before Alex took the plunge full-time into creating content, creating sports betting content specifically full-time, he was a waiter at, I give a shout-out to Carey Nation out in Boston. I think it's actually like on Suffolk campus, Alex, if that
It is.
That's, we passed by when I was out there. We should have eaten there. Next time we'll make an effort to eat there. But big shout out to Carey Nation. Alex worked there for quite a while and then decided to take the leap to be, his own boss as the CEO of the Alex Caruso brand, embarking on an awesome journey that very recently culminated in the commencement of his monetization of his sports betting advice, which is really, really exciting. We'll talk about a lot of that and more today. Alex, we're going to start off with my first question and one of my favorite questions, which lies on the premise that every great entrepreneur has an awesome origin story. What is your first big sports betting memory?
It had to be, I actually, funny enough, contrary to most people, regardless of, whether or not the age of when you can sports bet, my first sports betting memory came in college for sure. It was a Jets and Raiders game where I had one of my best friends, that day, the Jets were horrible that year, and so were the Raiders.
Sounds
so
familiar.
It was the Tank Bowl, and the Raiders were down by 4 points with less than 10 seconds left in the game, and for some reason, the Jets called it cover zero defense, which means blitzing everybody on 4th down. They threw a 50-yard touchdown to Henry Ruggs. Ended up winning all my friends $200 just off a feeling of one of my friends saying the Raiders are going to win today. I'll never forget that, watching with 5 or 6 people and all of us freaking out when we thought the game was all but over.
That is incredible. You said you won $100 on that?
I brought 500. We all put 100 on it.
Oh, put 100 on.
We
all
won.
Wow.
It was a nice little payday.
Man, you said Henry Ruggs. He's the deep threat. I don't know why you'd ever play cover zero against that threat on the offense.
With 10 seconds left in the game. They were on the 40. They needed to go 40 yards in 10 seconds, and then they called an all-out blitz. It was the craziest thing. I think the Jets defensive coordinator got fired right after that game. So, that's a way to do it.
Did you watch? I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3 now. The Chiefs Bills. I think it was the conference championship game.
Yeah,
one of the divisionals.
Pass with 3 seconds left that set up a crazy field goal, similar to that. Just why?
This was worse. This was way worse. This was the back and forth. It was Chiefs scored, then Bills went down and scored, and there was 17 seconds left or something, and the Chiefs had the ball again, and they were the Bills defense was playing 12 yards off of Tyreek Hill. This is when Tyreek was back on the Chiefs. It's what are you doing? You can't give that guy any space. You got to basically triple team him. He's the best receiver in the last, decade in terms of just pure athleticism. Impossible to cover. Your story with the Jets Raiders is almost, but not quite as bad as the blunder. I'm a Bills fan, so it still hurts. Still hurts me to this day.
It never leaves you. Those things never leave you, no matter what. It's not there's heartbreak in your personal life, but nothing beats a bad sports betting beat that'll stick to you for the rest of your life, or if it's your favorite team.
Yeah, nothing is worse, honestly. So, Alex, it sounds like you had a good group of buddies in college where you guys got together and were betting together. Is that where your interest started, or how did you get interested in this category as a whole, and
Yeah, I
kind of
mean,
like kick off what you're doing now?
yeah, it started off as like, I mean, like four years ago, like, a couple of my friends, actually the friends that I was watching that Raiders Jets game with, wanted to start a Boston sports podcast, and we did like 2 episodes. They like were completely sick of it after that, and I was like, I kind of like doing a podcast, so like, why don't I like start my own? But I was
Yes.
like, what would I want to talk about? And I chose fantasy football, and then from there, I kept putting out fantasy football podcasts. And then as time went on, it was like, okay, how can I expand just beyond like podcast? It's okay, let me start a Twitter and a TikTok. And then eventually both of those started to gain momentum. And then,
Yep.
just continue to grow my fantasy audience. And then about a year ago, when I graduated from college, it's like, okay, like fantasy football can like pay the bills, but like, how can I like scale like what I was trying to do both personally and in my life? And sports betting felt like the perfect way to do that because it's very similar research to fantasy football. It's just
Yep.
doing it on something that's year round, where fantasy football is just for 6 months out of the year. And I think that I was really tired of having so much of the year where people really didn't care that much about my content. And it was a way of how can I get people involved and get them to be excited about something content wise every day. And, sports betting was definitely the way to do that.
And it's interesting when you say it's similar fantasy football to like doing research for fantasy football to betting on sports. You're talking specifically player props, right? When you talk about the research, or is it comparable for straights and like the specific other types of betting that people can do? Because it's a wide aperture of opportunity there.
It totally is. I think that fantasy football like translates to pretty much any kind of sports betting. Of course, there are some things that are just way out there that it doesn't apply to, but I think generally it was just like I was so used to doing research and trying to find data that I found helpful in certain players. There's so much data
Yeah.
out there. There's so many different stats. And with fantasy
Yep.
football, you're always just trying to find edges that other people that are not very public knowledge. And I feel like sports betting, especially with player props, is the perfect way to do that. Of okay, how can you find an edge on this player, or whether it's this game or a team for a year? I thought those things went very hand in hand with the research for fantasy compared to how can you project that out for players, whether game wise, season wise, whole year long wise.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting because you mentioned when we were joking at the beginning, you mentioned NBA. And it's obviously not fantasy football. You started in fantasy football, but you translated your process of doing the research to finding an edge in different sports with different markets. Can you talk a little bit about what tools you use to find your edges? Like, what does your process look like, and what is your stack? Do you use stuff like props.cash, outlier, etc.? I mean, talk me through kind of how you go about your research process.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, the edge that I love, the two biggest things, at least for basketball for me, was one, StatMuse. Like, I'm a huge believer in home road
Yeah.
splits, especially with NBA crowds. I think that's how I found my biggest edge for basketball this year. Is there's certain guys that are just they're more role players at home, where a lot of star players take on a much bigger burden like in road games. So I think that for basketball, it's okay, how many days of rest are they on? Some guys are really great if they travel on one night and then they play the next night. They're fantastic. Other guys
Yep.
like Luka Doncic struggle if they're playing 2 games in a row. So being able to use those two things, StatMuse is a huge part of it. But my favorite betting tool by far for basketball is Degenelytics. They have a thing
Yeah.
called schedule adjusted schedule adjusted defense, where it basically takes the starters of every team and how well do they give up points to centers based on the averages. So if a team generally just played Jokic and Embiid and Victor Wembanyama 3 games in a row, it looks like they're a horrible defense. But
Yeah.
Degenalytics is the only site that I could find that was like, how well did Jokic do versus his averages? How well did Embiid do versus his averages? And they calculated out how guys went versus that position on their averages versus just the total points. And I think that was a massive edge that some of the books weren't using, is basically of just like how well do guys do versus their averages versus who did they play over the last month.
That's really interesting. It's so fascinating because I bet you, and I know of Degenelytics. I haven't subscribed, but I poked around their site. It's fascinating when people find these like to use the word outlier, it is a product that is in this market, but like literal outlier data points that actually culminate into an edge like you're describing. Basically these teams played back to back to back, three of the best, centers in the league. And the projection is why, even though it should be, adjusted to your point, there's probably like dozens, if not hundreds of different, ways you can skin the cat per se to find edges like that across the multitude of data. And that's why I think betting is pretty cool. Like a lot of people trade stocks and they invest in the stock market, but there's arguably more data available for sports betting.
Definitely. I agree, because you can find data on pretty much anything at this point, and just like anything in your life, it's so much testing with data. I mean, like I can't even imagine, like I can't even tell you some of the stats that I probably used that I thought would predict NBA last year, and like I could not have been more wrong, but a lot of it was just like similar to fantasy football. There's always an argument against every bet, which I think is like the beautiful thing about social media, that people always have like the other side to every bet and will always tell you why it's not going to hit. But I think that when you have so many buckets that are getting filled of like, are they better at home? Are they better on 2 days of rest? Has this team been struggling versus point guards lately? And how has this guy performed in this matchup when this player is probably going to be guarding him? And I think all those things put together, I mean, I make it really cool for any type of sports betting with all the data that's out there.
Yeah, and it's a great way to offer a product. You have a checklist, and it's like, how many of these things in the checklist can we check off, basically? And that will maximize the probability of this outcome being what we want, which is cashing the bet. That's what betting is. Like, you can either throw a dart at a dartboard, or you can have a regimented system that gives you the highest probability of success. And throwing dart at a dartboard is like going to the 7-Eleven and buying a lottery ticket. It's basically what like most people that bet on sports now do.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I love about it, like going off what you were saying, is I love that like the benchmarks like change over the course of a season, which really separates people that are really good at it versus not good at it. Is like, yes, like some of these stats I'm using, like you can't really use home road splits when we're only 10 games into the season. Like there's so little data on it. But I love that at different points of the season, you can find that certain data points matter at the beginning of the season versus the ones that matter at the end of the season are so different. And, I think learning those dynamics, I think, is a really fun process. It's really boring for some people, but I love getting to like share that data with people on social media.
And that's why you are in the position you're in, Alex. CEO of your own company, offering sports betting advice to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people every day. Let's move into the CEO section, because I think that's a good segue. One of the main responsibilities, if not the main responsibility of a CEO, is to sell the vision or the tangible delivery of your product or service. And that is, if you want somebody to buy it, if you want investors to invest in your business, whatever it might be, that's a super, super, super critical component of the job. If I was someone, hypothetically, that knew nothing about what you do, But I'm a casual sports bettor. How would you describe your premium service to me and the value that I would get from paying you?
Totally. I mean, you break it down into three components. I mean, number one is that like I have been a very profitable sports bettor, and more likely than not, based off me continuing to be profitable, I'm going to make you money. I have hundreds of thousands of followers and audience. And my premium is a way to be able to get all those picks early and be able to get extra content that I don't share for free with everybody else. Obviously, I built everything off of free content, but being able to have a premium is a place to get everything early, and it's a place to get extra in addition to me always, being profitable for the most part across an entire season of any given sport.
Love it. So a lot of the value is get more by paying than I would get for free.
Exactly. You're getting early access. Yeah, it's early access and bonus content.
I love it. So basically, if I'm playing this back to you, because I enjoy doing this, if I'm playing it back to you and you were doing, you're an elevator pitch, whatever, with somebody, and you had to explain it really quickly, it's if you join my premium, you'll get early access to my advice, which will make you more money.
Exactly.
Is that a good summary?
Yeah, you get early. Exactly. Couldn't have said that any better.
Nice. And that's great, because strategically for you, talk a little bit about how that enables you to continue growing your social presence. Like if you paywalled everything, what do you think would happen versus if you continue to give out a lot of content for free, kind of drop nuggets here and there? Talk through from the CEO level, sort of how you think strategically about growing your top of funnel consistently while having
Yeah.
a paywall.
I mean, it's a tough question. It's something that I think I'm still trying to figure out myself, because just like sports betting, it's so dynamic of
Yeah.
what the benchmarks are. But I think that, like, as a start, like, you have to give people and like show them every day like why they should be engaging in terms of the free content that I'm putting out. I think that's the most important part of like a business like this. Like, when I do it because I love it, but it's every day. If anyone looks at my social media pages, whether it's on written content like on Twitter, or on Picket, or video content like on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, that
Yep.
they're getting value out of it. And then the premium side of it is like, okay, here's how to give you even more value. You get value from me every day. I give it out for free. You can have that. But if you want to get even more value, is creating some sort of paid tier where you're getting all the content early and you're getting extra content that'll help you make money. So it's a way of, the social proof is there in terms of what I'm putting out every day. But if you want to go one level above where everyone else is getting and hundreds of thousands of people, like, that's the place to do it.
Yeah. And it's because a lot of people don't swipe a credit card right off the bat. They kind of need to see what you're all about. They want to try before they buy.
100%. And I think
Yeah.
that's the way. It's the way to, socially prove to people that, like, it is worth it. And not everybody will think so, and people will have different opinions on it. But I think that more often than not, I think finding a place to provide people value and give them something that you won't find on any of my other social pages, I think that is like the value in itself there. Especially in sports betting, like, lines can move really quickly, and if you have a lot of people
Yep.
that follow you, more likely than not, the price of how much you're getting back on every bet will kind of change as more people put money on it. And it's a way to guarantee, almost guarantee, that you can get the best price on there compared to everyone else that's getting that same content.
Yeah, I think that's a really big component, Alex, because your value proposition, again, kind of ends in I will help you make more money than you would without, right? That's,
Yeah.
I'm selling the back of my shirt. Win more together. Talk a little bit about a tangible example, like using numbers when you talk about price and line movement. If I'm following your stuff on Twitter and a line moves after you've posted it to your premium service, can you walk through a scenario with numbers so the audience can kind of get a sense for like what that actually means? Like, why is it valuable to get that line early?
Totally. I mean, so for example, like, at its base, like on a premium, sometimes I'll post a bet at plus 100, which basically means if you put in $10, you're gonna win $10 back.
Yep.
But for those sports books, if I post that to my premium and there's a lot of people that start putting money on it really quickly, the sports books are going to say, okay, like, we're giving this out at way too good of a price. Like, we need to change the price. So by the time I post it on Twitter, it might be, if you put in $10, you're only going to get $9. And that's because the sports books are seeing all that money come in on that same bet. So therefore, they have to make the price a lot more expensive. And by expensive, I mean, if you're putting in 10, you're only getting 9. Or you're only
Yep.
getting 8. Where everyone that subscribed to a premium got 10 at the beginning. So it's a way for people to get everything at a cheaper price than they would of when everybody gets. Doesn't mean that's it for every bet. But over time, if you consistently are more likely to have the better price than anybody else, that's where you get an advantage, at least over everyone else. So if I'm profitable off just my free stuff, you're probably going to get even more if you're one of the people that are in early as well.
100%. So I will summarize that with numbers, and then I'll give a quick disclaimer about why we built DubClub in the first place, because you're hitting the nail on the head. But so everyone kind of understands what you just said. Let's say you make 10 bets, 10 predictions. You give out 10 plays, and all those 10 plays are plus 100 to your premium. So everyone in your premium is getting plus 100 odds on those 10 plays, and you cash 6 of them. So you hit 60%. It's pretty good. I would be making back, if I put in 10 on each, I would have made $60, and I would have lost 40. So I'd be net 20. For people that get, and you can tell me if any of this is wrong, but I'm just kind of summarizing it. So I'm net 20 if I'm in your premium. Again, plus 100, I put in 10, I get 10 back on each. We won 6, we lost 4. So there's that delta of net 20. Let's say I'm now following you for free. on your social media. I'm not paying. The line is moving on each of those plays. Let's just say like this is aggressive, but overall, the line is moving. And so if I put in 10, I get 9, just to
Yep.
keep it really simple. And they're the same plays. So we hit 6, we lost 4. The 9 times 6 is going to be $54 minus 40. So now I only made 16 versus making $20 of profit.
Yeah.
So the people in your premium actually just made $4 extra. And a lot of people are putting in a lot more than $10 per play.
Exactly.
So that's the value right there, is like purely just from that live movement. The prediction you're making is going to be the same to your followers as it is in the premium. But if they're getting better line value in your premium over time as they bet consistently, which millions and millions of people do every week, the people in your premium are going to end up making more money.
Exactly.
Period.
And then the other side of that, in addition to just the pricing and where people are buying it, like every day I'm always giving out extra bets that I don't post on any other platform. So if I'm consistently winning over time, you're also going to make more money because I'm giving you content that I'm not posting on any other part of my social media. So people in the long term are also going to make extra money off of that because they're getting better prices and they're also getting more bets at a winning rate where over time they would make more money just off of that.
Amen. And that exact reason is why we founded DubClub. For people that don't know, and Alex, I don't know if I told you the story, but my co-founder Dash was subscribing or following people on Twitter, and he basically came to myself and my co-founder. I was eavesdropping their conversation, but he came to my co-founder and I overheard and was like, "Hey, I am struggling to get plays in time before lines move." And he knew, because he was somewhat of a sophisticated sports bettor, that he was missing out on value. So what we built for him was basically the opportunity for you to publish through the DubClub system and have him as a subscriber receive the message right on his phone through a text message. And just like that, it came through in milliseconds. He'd get it right when you publish it, so the lines didn't have a chance to move, and he could go and place his bet while getting all that value. And people that were still following, partners of DubClub on Twitter were missing out. And we've obviously evolved the platform since then, but that was the original problem we wanted to solve. And it's a huge problem, and a lot of people don't realize it. And ironically, the more people that pay for premium access, the better off they'll be, and the better off you guys will be, because you'll be making more money from doing a lot of hard work. So I think this industry is going to have a real interesting, evolution over the next however many years. I mean, even the next year is going to be interesting as people realize, like, wow, I can get a lot of value. I just pay out. What's your $4.99 a week, Alex? It's like something super reasonable. Yeah,
Exactly.
like pay him $5 a week. See what it's like. There's no downside to it. It's $5. It's $5 that could go to, an extra 5 that you'd win that you wouldn't have otherwise if you're following him for free. Pays itself off. I'm selling for you now. We can go hit the circuits together. So Alex, obviously building a business is not easy. What's been the most difficult challenge you've had to overcome as you've leapt into this full time and now kind of, you're driving the car pretty fast? What's the biggest challenge you've had?
Yeah, I mean the biggest challenge is always just trying to. That's a good question. I think the biggest challenge is always just trying to continue learning. Like a lot of people as content creators, you can get really good at one thing, but you have to like always like find ways to evolve. So like for one of the things right now, like my biggest challenge that I'm actually having a really tough time with right now is being able to grow my video content. So like obviously on Twitter, I have a good sized following. Like I've been doing that for so long. It's all I've done every single day, but for me, it's being able to grow this other like media of content. And I think that's the toughest part, is being good at different medias of content. What I mean by that is like Twitter is very like written content, making my own graphics, where video content is like you're writing scripts, you're delivering something on camera, you're communicating to a video editor on how you want the presentation to look. So I think the toughest part is just being able to be really great at multiple like forms of content, because a lot of people, if you just do Twitter every day, all you're doing is that one skill every day. And I think the toughest part for me is like learning how to be great at multiple skills at one time, so I can spend time on video and on written content every day, and learning to be good at both of them at the same time is really, really challenging.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge, I said at the beginning, one of the big jobs of being the CEO of a company or the owner of a company is being able to sell the vision. But knowing how to do multiple jobs better most times than people that you hire is a super important skill set, because you know what you want. You know what the vision is for what you're building, and you trust other people to help you build towards that vision. And the only way you know if they're doing a good job or not is like you also have to learn those
Totally.
other facets of
And that's the
building.
part that's the toughest, is like maybe a better way to word all of that I said is just like, as a like content creator, you wear every single hat. So
Yeah.
like, I am my negotiator, I'm my marketer, I am the content producer, the content director, I am the poster, I am the learner of how to be good at this different content. So like,
Yep.
you have to know like literally every single aspect of it, and it never stops. There's always someone that's emailing you about an affiliate deal, or can you post this for me or post that for me, or how can I
Yep.
collab with someone or work on this, and then trying to figure out how you can like improve at your own content while trying to like wear all these different hats where you're doing like all the jobs for one company at once is difficult. I think that's also like the opportunity. One of the things I love about this, if I can say this as well, is like, that's what I
Yeah.
love
Of
about a
course.
job like this, is it can separate the people that are really good at it from the people that are really great at it. Is like,
Yep.
who is like willing to wear all those hats and like learn how to be good at them. Because if you can't like wear a lot of those hats like well and do all those different jobs, then it's going to be really hard for you to grow and be successful.
Absolutely. And I know you've got big plans, big vision. Talk to me about your team.
For sure. So right now I have three people, mainly every day, that are working on my team. I have Felipe,
Yep.
who is like my pretty much pseudo director of like content strategy, who's
Felipe,
helping me
great
on,
guy.
a
Great
great
guy.
guy,
Give him a
on
big shout out on this.
all my video stuff, and learning how to like be able to create a strategy that's going to be able to grow like my socials and that side, and
Yep.
being able to like, I can do the videos, but how can we incorporate the right strategy to be able to grow like quickly and capture momentum on social media. I also have my video editor, Curvin, that edits all my short form videos that I'm posting every day. So he's
Yep.
primarily the one I'm working with any sort of creative vision of how can we make this video pop? How can it make the most sense to people and deliver it in a way that's understandable and digestible for people? And then I have another person that is my thumbnail editor that makes my
Hmm.
thumbnails for my videos, because I am like
Interesting.
horrible at graphics. My dad does graphic design for a living. I did not get that gene. I'm horrible at graphic design. So it's been really helpful to have someone that's really good and can make really great graphics, because that is like absolutely like one of my weakest skill sets of anything in this kind of business.
You and your dad would make a good duo.
We would,
You do the
honestly.
content, he does the graphics. Boom. Work out
Exactly. I might
well.
have to think about it.
Well, nice, Alex. It's good to hear you've got a team behind you, and a lot of it's focused on content production. What social media channel are you focused on right now, and why?
The biggest thing is, I mean, like short form video. I mean, like
Mm,
I have a good sized following on Twitter. So a lot of that,
yep.
where in baseball season, there's not as many people that are betting on baseball as there are on football or even basketball. So
Yep.
like right now, a lot of it is like making sure that I'm continuing to put out great content on Twitter every day. But now that there's a little bit more downtime, because football is a lot heavier and there's a lot more stuff going on and people that are engaging every single day, a lot of right now is like, how can I learn how to do the video content well and gear up for football season, which I think is like the hardest season and my favorite season. But I think a lot of it right
Hmm.
now is like, how can I learn how to grow like some of this video content and learn to get a lot better as a video creator when there's a little bit more downtime than I would have during football, or when football and basketball are going on at the same time. Those multi-sport months are like, they're a lot of work, as you know, but like those are the best
Yeah.
times at the same time. But now is the time to learn and grow.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, I'll text this to you after. There's a really good where my brain is going when you describe that is kind of like you want to build a system and have a process running smoothly as we head into the busy time of the year, so that you don't have to think, you just do. It's like
Yes.
boom, boom, boom. Putting out short form content. It's just a machine. That's awesome to hear, because back to my comment around the podcast, there's I forget his name exactly. If you know what Wix is, it's basically a website builder. People use Wix as software to make websites. It's one of the most popular software tools to to create a really flexible, high-functioning website. And the CEO of Wix describes building a company is just building a bunch of systems, basically building a machine so that during the times where you feel a little out of your equilibrium, like when you're trying to do research for 3 different sports at the same time, you're just operating within the machine.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where a lot of right now is just like, how can we put this in place so that when football comes, it's a well-oiled machine. So it's learning how to be better at videos, or how can I like create really great content like faster and more efficiently. So I'm not wasting all this time of doing it. It's working out those kinks. So it's like, how can you streamline your process so you can deliver great results just at a faster speed than you were doing before. And right now is kind of working through those things so that when, football comes, that everything will be a lot easier day to day, and it won't be, how can we figure this out? It's, okay, we spent the last couple months figuring it out and building it, and now it's just time to like drive the bus versus putting all the parts inside the bus to be able to drive it.
100%. Moving into the betting section is a fun one. You make more money than most people betting on sports. You also run a very successful premium sports betting advice, consulting business. Talk to me about what is the most money you've won on a single bet, and why did you make that bet?
This is another like college, like silly like story with my friends. Like, so to give context, one of my favorite things to do when I was in school, like I don't do it as much now, but I love teasers. So basically what
Yeah.
teasers are, for people that don't know, is if you're betting on football, for example, and the line will be like dead even between the Bills and the Chiefs, and they think it's going to be a 1 point game by the sports books. Teasers are basically an extra like little inflation for who you think's going to win. So if you're betting on the Chiefs to win by 1, the sports books might say, okay, you like the teaser is like you need the Chiefs to win by like less, like sorry, they need to lose by 6 or less. So basically, teasers are a way to give you a huge edge on lines that you're taking. So my friends every weekend would put together these like 9 or 10 leg teasers where we take the teams we want to win and basically just juice them up so they had way more room to like lose than they normally would. And one time when we were all putting in like $100 together, like combined, I think we ended up winning like something like $3,000 or $4,000 off of like a 10 or 11 leg teaser where we each put in like probably $20, but as a group together, we ended up winning a couple grand.
That is awesome. What's the catch with teasers? Is it just the odds are watered down, or what's the catch? Because that sounds pretty awesome.
I mean, it's like I feel like they probably like now that I'm at this point and I understand sports betting a lot more, they're probably like the pricing that they give is not very good on them. It's just a
Yeah,
way to be able to like feel like you're winning more, but you're winning more on those bets, but like the overall dollar amount that you're winning, the percentage you're winning is more, the dollar amount is less. And I love the feeling of where it felt like we were always going to win at least like 8 or 9 out of 10 legs. So we might not hit the whole thing, but we had a great chance to go into like the 8 o'clock games and like we're like 1 or 2 away. So I think if that makes sense, I love that feeling of like you always
totally.
felt like you were going to get close with a teaser.
Yeah, it's a way to make it more stimulating to
Exactly.
put your money down. And that's, I think, a very good tactic that sports books often use. And that's also a lot of the value of why I would subscribe to you and be in a community, is because I'm riding something with everyone else. I'm not just on it myself. It sounds like a lot of your big memories have been with friends.
Absolutely. That's what we do it all for. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
best part of all this stuff is like I love creating content, but it's like how can I do this and like allow myself to have as much time with like my friends and family, cuz like I don't really have any other hobbies outside of like being with my friends and family and doing
Yeah.
this like all day every day.
Yeah. Yeah, and that'll get into my lifestyle question in a second, but before we get there, I am curious, what's the craziest thing you've spent your winnings from a sports bet on? If there is anything out there.
I notoriously am not a big spender on like literally anything, but I would say that I mean I won a couple like really big bets in November this year. Was like November and February like my 2 best months for sports betting, and I took my girlfriend out to a really nice dinner that I would normally never
Good.
go to, like a steak dinner. You're definitely overpaying for what you're getting, but it was just something of like we had a really great couple weeks, so like let's like just do something that's like a little bougie, a little bit fun, of something that like we wouldn't normally do. So again, just all go into those like being able to have those experiences with the people you care about is probably where I'd spend like the most money on if I'm going to spend on anything.
Yeah, this is the 8th episode, Alex, and everything has been so consistent with that answer. It's like, and I'm like, man, the people we work with are fantastic human beings. Like you guys aren't spending money on crazy stuff. It's take your girlfriend out to a nice dinner. I've heard take my family on a trip to Japan. I've heard
Wow.
like spend money on paying down my parents' mortgage, like stuff like that. It's kind of remarkable what this industry is opening up for people, and it's a pleasure to work with folks
Actually,
like you.
that's probably it. I didn't think it's. I paid off my student loans. I was able to
Oh,
pay
that's
off
awesome.
my student loans through doing this, and that was something that I thought was going to take a lot longer than like a year. But being able to like do this and get a lot better at it allowed me to pay student loans. That's probably the best part of that, and that's something that like my parents were like really proud of because they were going to help me with some of it, like they always have. Of like, you pay a little bit, we'll pay a little bit, but like we need you invested in all of this. But being able to say, actually, mom and dad, like, I got this. Like, I took care of it. Like, even though it is my bill, but it was something they were willing to help with, and be able to say, like, you don't have to worry about that cost. Like, you've worked hard enough for me.
That is awesome. Congratulations, by the way. That's a huge accomplishment.
Thank
Debt
you.
free.
Debt free. That's the dream.
Debt free heading into, how old are you? You're 20, 24 now?
23
23. When's your birthday?
December. So I'll be
December.
24 in a few months.
Nice. Yeah, we got a ways to go. We got about half the year, a few months. Can't come soon enough. Alex, you mentioned this already regarding where you spend time, but running a business is hard. Producing content all the time is hard. How do you spend your time to relieve stress? What do you do for fun?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of it, if I'm not working, like I'm a big binger, like on Netflix with like The Mole right now, or like Love Is
Oh,
Blind. Like I love, or
good.
Survivor, The Amazing Race. Like I love just like mindless stuff, and I love
Reality
competition.
shows, huh?
So yeah, when you can combine those things together, like I watch scripted stuff, but for the most part, I just love watching people compete. Like I'm such a big competitor in work, whether I'm playing sports with my friends. So I love
Yep.
competition stuff. But outside of that, it's usually like just like going for a walk and like listening to music and just like finding peace within that, of just anything that like gets me not thinking about sports. Like sometimes is like really nice because that's all you do all day every day, and I love it. But like you have to find a way to like rest your mind. So those things like reality shows or just being able to go out for a walk and listen to music are really good ways for me to allow my mind to just like be at ease, like when usually it's go 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 go, like all day every day.
So you're constantly thinking about sports, but it sounds like you binge Netflix quite a bit. What is the Alex Caruso recommendation for best show in 2024?
Oh my goodness. My two favorite shows of all time are Prison Break, all time GOAT show for me, and then Lost.
Nice.
Lost is you got to have
Lost.
a little bit more time for. I
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend it to as many people, but my best recommendations would be Prison Break and Dexter are like two of my all-time favorite shows that like you don't have to think a lot while you're watching it, but like you will be thoroughly entertained. And I love shows that have characters that are just like masters of whatever they're trying to do.
I can plus one Prison Break. I haven't seen Dexter, but for those of you that have not seen either of those, highly recommend. Alex has good taste.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Prison Break, though, GOAT show, number one, probably never to be beaten.
It's a good one. All right, let's move into one quick section before we get into the 2-minute drill. Topical sports. Football is roughly 8 weeks away. Actually, less than 8 weeks, if I'm counting correctly, and my countdown is right. Actually, I think it's exactly 8 weeks. Sadly, what is your starting fantasy lineup come September 2024? Standard format, do like 2 quarterbacks, 2 running back, 3 receiver, tight end, whatever, flex. Standard.
And
Walk me
this
through
would
your
be
lineup.
not for generally how a draft would go, just my best guys at each position that I'd be going for.
This is like if you had every single pick
Okay.
for the first 4 rounds,
Okay.
and they're like no one else could draft until like round 5. Like you
Okay.
get to wipe the board. Who is going in those slots?
Okay. Number one has got to be Jalen Hurts at quarterback. I love guys that have great weapons, but also like have. Oh, did I re- There we go.
Yeah, we
That
cut out for a sec. We'll edit
you're
that.
good.
Go ahead and restart. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. So the first guy I'd be going with has to be Jalen Hurts. I love guys that can throw the crap out of the ball and have great weapons like he has with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, but also have the running ability with the tush push that he's always going to get the ball on the 1 yard line that can score touchdowns. My two running backs this year would have to be Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson. Notice how I didn't say Christian McCaffrey. My favorite fantasy football stat, tale as old as time, is the NFL leader in touches for each of the last 10 years has finished as the running back 15 or later. I'm not saying he's going to get hurt, but it's a curse as old as time that he has fallen not once but twice. Anytime a guy leads an NFL in touches, I'm avoiding them. Highest hit rate for top 5 running backs in NFL over the last 10 years are second and third year running backs. Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson are my guys there. At wide receiver, I'd have to be going. This is where I'll put my 2 wide receivers in a flex. It's Tyreek Hill. You have that 50-point fantasy football upside every week. You have Jamar Chase, who I think also has that 50-point upside every single week. And then Justin Jefferson, who is the master of consistency. And then at tight end, I know right now he's not the number one guy. They're saying Sam Laporta is the number one guy, but it's the tale as old as time. Travis Kelce. You have all these great weapons that you're getting at the very beginning for all these other positions. You need someone that's never going to get hurt and is always going to put up solid numbers every week. Travis Kelce's the guy.
Wow. All right. What about kicker?
Oh, kicker? I mean, come on. You got to go with the GOAT. Justin Tucker. Come on now. He's top
Guy's
8
got a
fantasy
cannon.
finish at kicker for each of the last 10 years. Like, maybe he won't finish number 1, but always finds his way and almost never misses field goals. So highest accuracy in NFL history and a guy that's playing on a good offense. How can you get better than that?
He's incredible. He is so consistent. The Christian commentary is interesting. By the way, he just got married this past weekend. Very exciting.
Shout out.
Yeah, big shout out. But yeah, he's on the cover of Madden. There's a lot of interesting stuff kind of surrounding that. He's a year younger than me, 28. So I think he still looks amazing to me. I'm obviously biased because I played with him for 3 years, but I like your picks. It's a good lineup. I think that was very well thought out, and that's what I like to hear. Is as you kind of like, this is sort of everything you give to people in terms of predictions and advice is very well thought out, like you just displayed. There's always good reasoning behind it, and I think that's super important.
Appreciate that.
All right, let's get into my favorite part of the show and also my favorite drill back when I was playing football, 2-minute drill. We're going to go through, we've got 12 questions, Alex, 2 minutes, so 6 questions a minute, basically 1 question every 10 seconds. There's going to be a couple different categories. We're going to start with, I'll go PG-13 this time. Got some feedback from our editing team. We'll do the Kiss, Marry, Kill round, otherwise known as F, Marry, Kill. You can figure that out. Extrapolate the terminology. And then we'll get into a couple of open-ended questions, some either-ors, and then a would you rather category at the end. So let's start Kiss, Marry, Kill, starting the 2-minute drill now. Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z, Eminem.
I would marry Eminem. I would kiss Jay-Z. And then I would
kill Kendrick.
I would kill Kendrick.
All right. Okay, round 2. Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande.
I would kiss Ariana Grande. I would marry Taylor Swift.
And you'd kill Katy Perry?
I would kill Katy Perry. Sorry, Katy Perry. If it was 2012, 100% would be marrying, but different day and age now.
Yeah. Is Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce still together?
They are. So I'd have to try to find my way. Travis Kelce
good
used to have
luck.
a fantasy lineup, and then Taylor would be all mine at that point.
I think the top if you came in and swooped, I think you'd want to take Travis out of your starting lineup. He'd probably be a head case.
True.
Wouldn't put up the same numbers. That's a tough conundrum. All right, round 3. This is a fun one. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Caleb Williams.
Oh man, I would marry Tom Brady. I'm a Boston sports fan. I'd probably kiss Patrick Mahomes, and then I'd have to kill Caleb Williams. Hasn't proven enough yet, but we'll see over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I gotta kill him. Can't give him a chance.
No,
just kill him
yet.
now. All right, what would be your walk-up song?
Oh man, it would Lose Yourself all day.
Oh, that's great. Married Eminem.
100%.
You guys would listen. That'd be your wedding song.
Artist, just stuff that gets you in the zone. That's probably my most listened to song of all time.
That's awesome. And so you're a Boston sports fan. So are you like Patriots is your team?
Yep.
Okay. What's your favorite sports team? ever.
For like 1 year team or just all time team?
Just any team. Yeah. Like,
Oh, the Patriots for sure. I mean,
okay.
that's what I grew up on.
What's the craziest thing you would do for the Patriots to win the Super Bowl again without Tom Brady?
Oh man, I would probably. I mean, that's a tough one. I would delete my Twitter account, my Instagram account. I would delete all my socials for. I'd regrow as long as I can make a new account. I would get rid of everything I've had for another Patriots Super Bowl.
Well, I think this would go viral if you actually did that and they won, and you'd probably gain back all your followers almost instantly after
If
that
we
season.
if we
So,
win this
good
year,
prediction.
I will delete all my social media accounts that I have across everywhere.
You know, a way to hedge that, you put a big future on it.
That's a good point.
All right, Jordan or LeBron?
LeBron. I mean, I'm a little bit. I know that's not the right answer or the proper answer,
Tough.
but it's the same thing of like it's what you grow up on. That's who I want to be the GOAT. Maybe he's not totally the
Yeah,
GOAT yet, but
you're
I think he's
wishing
the
it.
greatest player, even if he doesn't have the greatest resume.
Yeah, I like it. New York style or Chicago style pizza?
Ooh, I would probably go Chicago. I'm a fiend for a deep dish.
Love it. Spotify or Apple Music?
Apple Music. I'm on the family plan I've
What?
been on since I was 12 years old. I'd never even
Oh,
tried Spotify. My mom and dad put me on a family plan when I was 12, and I'm still on it to this day. So my
that is
loyalty will
wild.
will lie there.
That is wild. Literally on the last episode, I was like, if anyone says Apple Music, I will be shocked.
I never had a
But you are
chance. I
that guy.
mean, when you're on the family plan, you're never gonna get off it. If mom's paying my $9 a month, I will never complain about that.
My gosh, good for you. All right, morning person or night person?
Morning person. I mean, best part of
Morning.
being a CEO, you got to learn to be a morning person. I was always a night person, but I
Yep.
think that the people that get up early probably have a bigger advantage and stuff like this.
Early bird gets the worm. I agree. I get up at 5
Oh
in
my,
the
I don't
gym
get up
at
that. I get up at
5:30.
like 7. I don't know how you get up
Well,
at
you're
5.
East Coast, so technically that's 4 o'clock West. I got to get up
Right.
extra early because I'm 3 hours behind most of the
That's a good
working
point.
world. Our headquarters is in Chicago, so they're up, Central Time. They're 2 hours ahead. All right, last either or crunchy or smooth peanut butter.
Oh, smooth all day.
Good.
People that say crunchy are psychopaths.
Yeah, you slightly made up for the Apple Music, but
Yeah.
not quite there yet.
If
Not
I
quite
said
there.
crunchy and Apple Music, we'd
Yeah,
never
I
never
would have
see you
ended this.
again. Yeah.
I would have blocked your number. All right, last two questions. Would you rather travel 50 years in the past or 50 years in the future?
Probably 50 years in the past. I loved like stories like that with my parents, like how they grew up. I mean, they're both 50, so it wouldn't be really that the same. But I think like I just love like the stuff of the past and like being able to like always be outside, no phones, no internet. I would have loved to
Yes.
like live in that time, even though my current occupation relies on the internet.
Yes. I agree with that. I would rather go 50 years in the past as well.
I don't want to see the
Last one. Say it again.
Go ahead. I said I don't want to see the future yet. I don't want to know.
Yeah, we'll live the future. I think you and I hopefully will both be here 50 years in the future.
Let's
We'll
hope
see.
so.
Knock on wood. Last one. Would you rather be able to fly or breathe underwater?
Breathe underwater. I'm always at like
Good.
the beach near a pool. Like I think flying would be cool, but I would end up doing some dumb stuff and get hit by a plane or something. Like I'd rather
Yeah,
just
you'd
feel safe
fly into
under.
the
Yeah,
air traffic areas. Yeah, for sure.
100%. I don't want
I'm
to be
the
messing
same.
with that. So water all day.
Water all day. It's interesting that question. I feel like is I'm gonna measure the statistics on these questions as we go further in the show, but I bet you it's majority going to be people flying. But it's
Yeah.
interesting. 75% of the world is oceans. Most of the world is water, and a lot of people don't realize how much we've left unexplored. Now I'm getting into like nerd land, but I would way rather breathe underwater.
Yeah, I join you
I'm
in
with you.
Nerdland in a heartbeat.
Yes, good. All right, last question. We're going to wrap up here, Alex. Over 40 million people in the U.S. alone bet on sports every week. Most people don't really know what they're doing. Most people do it for fun. What advice would you have for those 40 million? And then what advice would you have for someone who's a bit more casual like me?
I think both the best advice that I've ever gotten on like the sports betting side of stuff like that literally anyone can follow is to follow at Alex Caruso on Twitter. I mean,
Yes.
you can't really get better than that. You're gonna get free content. You're gonna get it every day. I post late night plays. I post morning plays. I post all the promos that can help you make a little bit more money if you have other sports books in your state. I think Alex Caruso is the place to be. Whether you're the 40 million, you're a casual, experienced sports bettor, you can't go wrong.
Well done. Well done. That's a heck of a way to end the show. Alex, it's been super fun having you on. I know you have to run in 2 minutes. You notified me that before we started with this podcast. I'll stop the recording now. This has been really fun. I'll see you in a sec.
Sounds good. Thank you.